This talk's totally out there for me. It's way outside of my core competency. Hi there, Coach Sage here with a talk on business marketing, social media strategy slash self-branding slash how to get sponsored as an athlete maybe, but also just kind of generally in life, how to maybe get promoted at a job or apply to, college application or something like that. I don't know, this could be totally off the wall. But just kind of tips that I've learned along the way in my own career that I wanted to maybe provide, get some feedback with you guys and provide for you young whippersnappers out there who ask me about how to get sponsored as an athlete. I kind of want to take the broader picture of that question and talk about a little bit about digital marketing, kind of a self-branding type of strategy and kind of what went into my career leading up to where I am at today. But I also realize that a lot of you out there are have a lot more experience than I do in business and marketing. A lot of you guys are older than me. A lot of you guys have tons and tons, decades and decades of life experience and work experience and just career building experience that you could probably provide a lot of feedback and advice for these younger whippersnappers in the comments below. And likewise, if you think that some of the things that I say on here are totally ridiculous and really wacky, just totally call me out on it. I won't be offended. I think we could all learn something. So it'd be great to have your feedback as well below. But I just wanted to, start off talking about, we'll rewind. We'll rewind back in time, kind of with my own example. The year was 2009. 2009 was the year I graduated from college, and it wasn't a great year in terms of how the economy was going on. There weren't a whole lot of jobs. It was kind of the economy was really hurting right back then. So some of my teammates just on the cross country track teams, they were going off. My best friend in college had a job at Apple. He was going off to work at Apple in Cupertino. Another guy on my team, real sharp guy. Everyone there was really smart. He's off to Harvard Law School. There's a girl on my team, one of the top runners. She was going to Stanford to get a PhD in electrical computer engineering, something like that. And then there was me. I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna graduate from college, what am I gonna do? And so this kind of goes to my first point, and I'll get into it here in a bit, but it was actually my friend from Apple, who's going off to work for Apple. He's like, Sage, you're pretty good at marathon running. Like you qualified for Olympic trials when you were 21 years old. That was kind of a rare thing. And I was like, yeah, I really love running. We all loved running. These guys were great runners. But I was obsessed with it. And, because I had that marathon time, it kind of just made sense that, hey, maybe I want to see how well I could do after college. And maybe I have enough, the time was impressive enough to get some sort of sponsorship deal. And, I realize a lot of people aren't just seeking sponsorship or anything like that. But for me, it was a big deal back then. I had nowhere else to turn, really. But it was also a dream. It had been a dream of mine for a long time. And so this goes with my first point, which we'll see if autofocus kicks in. Focus on your strengths. And, at the time, the marathon was probably the best thing I had going for me. And for my friend who was going to be a software engineer, he was a great runner, but he was also really good at computers and software development. He's a genius. And you don't know what your strength is sometimes, especially if you're young. You're still finding out things that you're good at, things that you're developing at, and it's I think you keep learning that throughout life. What's your strength? Like, I have a knack for this. I'm pretty good at this. It might be stencil drawing. It might be you might be the next pinball wizard. You could be doing card magic tricks. You could be editing videos. I should probably edit that out. It could be taking still pictures for Instagram or anything that I can't even think of. But, find your strengths, and that could be your really big thing. And of course, a lot of you on here are runners, and you want running to be your big thing, but it might be a specific aspect of running that really grabs you and say like, hey, I have some ability at this, I want to pursue this, and it's something I'm passionate about, but I'm also just good at it. Because everyone in the world has something to offer. Everyone in the world is going to be better than you at something. So if you find out what that is, you could focus on that strength. So focus on your strengths. So back to my story. I'm graduating. I got a marathon time, thinking about running after college. But I don't have a gig lined up right away. But I'm lucky, I'm very fortunate, and this will go into my second point. I had some connections. I had a job. I was working right after I graduated this summer in Ithaca at a local shoe store. I was selling shoes, which is also a good way to get into the footwear industry, I will say, because you get sales experience, you learn a lot about different shoes, different models, different brands, how to work with customers, how to develop rapport, and just in selling and marketing in general. But you're kind of immersed in the industry. So I was really thankful for that job, and it was great to work at the shoe store there in Ithaca, Finger Lakes Running Company. Shout out there. But I got lucky mainly, not because of the marathon time, but because I had connections. And this is my second big point here, is networking. And it might be really obvious for you experienced business people out there, or anyone, I guess. They always say network, network, network. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I don't always agree with that quote, because I think knowledge is power. You want to also be really knowledgeable about things, but the connections could definitely help. Especially if you're looking for a job promotion or advancement, or a new job, or getting into a school, or getting a sponsorship sort of deal. And so the networking thing that I had kind of just fell into my lap. I didn't have to work on it that much. Maybe I should have worked on it more in college. But my college coach, Rojo Robert Johnson at Cornell, happened to be the co-founder of Let'sRun.com, pretty well-known running website. He had a lot of connections in the industry. He knew these guys out in Michigan, the Hansons brothers, who run the Hansons-Brooks Distance Project, post-collegiate marathon training team that I had always dreamed about joining, because they mainly focused on the marathon, and I was too slow to run on the track. So he had their contact, he contacted them. He's like, hey, I got an athlete. He ran an Olympic trials 2008. He's got some experience, but he wants to run the marathon. He's definitely too slow for the 10K. And at the time, I think the standard was 220. A sub 220 marathon. I was only a 221 guy, but they were nice enough to let me on the team and to give me a chance. And I might not have had that opportunity if it wasn't for that connection and that coach. And so when you're looking to create opportunities for yourself, create your own luck, the networking could be essential, because you get things, a new job offer or a new promotion that you might not get otherwise. And so building your network online, you looked at cleaning up your LinkedIn profile, for example. That's social networking, but also a new employer is going to look at your social media profile. Maybe if you're leaving a digital footprint and things are left online, word to the wise for you kids out there, just be careful. The employers will check your personal Facebook account if they can, and you don't want anything on there that's going to be like a big turnoff, so to speak. And so tweets have ruined people's careers. Tweets have also made people's careers. And it's the same thing with, a great Instagram picture or a viral YouTube video. You could really make an impact on the digital scene. But networking also still comes back to its traditional value of meeting people in person, making phone calls, being willing to accept a lot of rejection, because believe it or not, I have been rejected a ton in my life. And rejection's hard, but it's part of the game. And just being able to develop rapport with people. And this was hard for me because I'm an introvert. I'm not introverted in front of the camera, but it's public speaking is always a big fear for people. Meeting new people sometimes causes anxiety. I'm saying, go out there, meet people at events, have a business card ready, be ready to give a firm handshake and make eye contact when you're networking in person, but also take that networking and develop those relationships online through contacts, emails, and social media. Because at this day and age, a lot of things digital, and you have a global network that could support you online very quickly. So network, network, network. All right, so now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of kind of my marketing angle, at least little things I've learned. I only took a handful of classes in college on business marketing, but I really loved it. And I've read some influential books that I'll list by authors. throughout the years, as well as just use some real life examples, mainly from YouTube, since that's the big focus with this video, obviously. But here we have a box, right? And everyone knows the saying, you know, think outside the box. You know, think, be creative. Don't imitation suicide, right? So, you know, the traditional model of this construct is for people to think, I gotta think outside the box. And I'm thinking way out here. You know, this is normal, this is boring, this is wacky, this is crazy, totally outside the box. And I think that's cool. I think you should focus outside of the box. I think, but at the same time, it might be too extreme. It might turn some people off. It might not help with investors or you know, whatever industry you're in. And so one of the authors I really respect, a guy he's written a ton of books, he's super famous, look him up, Seth Godin, Godin is how you spell the last name there. Seth writes, you know, you don't think totally outside of the box, it's too crazy, you want to think along the edges of the box, right? That's the margin where innovation happens. This is the fringe, you know, of what's possible to what people thought maybe was impossible. And recognizing that opportunity for growth. And you see a lot, you know, the technological advancements or mechanical advancements in different industries, the innovator's dilemma. You get a new technology that expands this contract, expands the boundary of the box. Maybe it's not even a box, maybe it's a sphere, your sphere of influence, you could say. And maybe it's growing, it's expanding, it's changing because there's new innovations that come in and disrupt the marketplace, that change people's perceptions of thinking, and all of a sudden make something that was previously thought of as being impossible and making it possible. And I think that's a really good way to look at things is, am I pushing the envelope? Am I questioning, well, kind of questioning authority, but questioning the status quo of what is possible and realizing my dreams kind of that way. So, you know, with innovation, you could take that with, you know, developing faster smartphones, computers, things like that, but also in running, you know, can I make a better action running video? Can I do this race and beat the course record and go up and down this mountain faster than anyone else? So it kind of goes with the mental attitude, but also maybe your physical strengths or your creative strengths. So finally, I know this video is really long, but we'll get into combining all those things together, your networking, your strengths, and thinking along the edges of the box, and kind of applying that all into selling yourself, selling your own personal brand, or maybe a business that you own and operate, selling that brand as well, to potential sponsors, to potential investors, to your boss for a promotion, or to the, you know, school that you're applying to. Combining that into a narrative, and that kind of goes with my last point here. I did think this out a little bit through, I thought, and that is sell yourself as a brand by telling a story. And I will say the story needs to be authentic, and that's what Seth Godin would say. Selling your authentic story, your own story. And this story is true. It should be a narrative that aligns with your strengths, aligns with your target market. And when you talk about, you know, your target market and your strengths, they could kind of go hand in hand. You have people with all sorts of different opinions and values, and you're trying to get in their shoes and see their perspectives on things and see what might interest them or might help them or inspire them. And you know, you're not going to appeal to everyone. The market's out there is huge. People are going to really disagree with you. You're going to have some haters even. There's going to be, you know, people that don't like what you're doing. But you know, you ignore them, because you'll find your own group that maybe has similar strengths to what you have, that aligns with your values and finds what you've created as something of value. And it really is all about creating value for your sponsor, creating value for your company, creating value for your boss maybe even, or your school, and showing that you're creating this value, and doing that through your story. And it's really just an application of your strengths, of what you have to bring to the table in this whole process. And then how you do it digitally is what really excites me, and it's why I I like doing YouTube videos. It comes naturally. It's a hobby of mine. Because I'm not the best editor. I don't know how to take still pictures at all. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. I'm trying to learn more and more, but I'm not known for being a clean editor and a videographer or professional YouTuber on here. I'm known more for the running knack, whereas we look at other stories, other narratives of people that have done really successful on YouTube. This is just a small example. You look at like Durian Rider, for example. Big following. His core competency, if someone had to summarize what he does kind of in one sentence, and I forgive him if he watches this and I'm wrong, is that he promotes being a vegan, and he's also really knowledgeable about cycling, especially distance cycling. So he's got his crazy Strava, he's got his bike reviews, he does a lot of food rants. He's preached that for a long time, and he's gained a lot of followers through that notoriety. Same thing with Ginger Runner. He's a great editor. He's great at editing. He's making trail running really exciting with new media, interviews, Ginger Runner Live every week, adventure runs, race coverage, making real high quality films and getting inside of that trail running experience with shoe reviews, gear reviews, and interviews. And he's a dang good editor. He's dang good at graphic design. So give Ethan a lot of credit. If you don't follow him already, check out the Ginger Runner on YouTube here. Just amazing media. Whereas I felt that my main thing is ranting about training talks and kind of letting you guys into my own training as a professional mountain ultra trail runner now. That being said, over time your strengths kind of change and your story changes. So that's kind of changing a little bit about your brand, but the brand still stays pretty consistent because it's an authentic story and you're not making up all this fluff and all these lies that you can't back yourself up on, because people will call you out for that. Just like me making this video is kind of going outside of my core competency, which is mainly talking about exercise physiology and applying distance running training principles. They're trying to talk about business, and it could really backfire on me, but I'm willing to take that chance. So finally, with the social media strategy, obviously having a lot of followers, more followers on social media, if you're looking for like sponsorship, that is seen as being kind of an asset. You have more exposure and more influence for these brands. And I've been accused on LetsRun.com of buying followers. It's not true. I don't buy followers. I don't know why someone accused me of that. I don't have that many compared to a lot of other runners that actually disconnect even more from social media, but that's because that's their own authentic story, kind of. Whereas I do like being connected. I love being on YouTube here. I love seeing your guys' comments and hearing your stories. So it's just kind of a difference in personality, I guess. But in closing, if you're watching this YouTube video, you're fortunate to have probably internet access and a mobile device or a computer. And I realize through traveling and just being around in the world, I've been very, very fortunate. There's been some hands that have been dealt my way that have been extremely lucky. I like to think in life you could kind of create your own opportunities and create your own luck, so to speak, but at the same time, sometimes you're born into circumstances that make it harder to overcome certain things, And if you look in the grand world scheme of things, of course there's poverty and famine and all sorts of violence where people are in really unfortunate circumstances. But at the same time, the human spirit is amazing, and there's amazing progression. You see, just with runners, for example, the guys in East Africa, some of the Kenyans and Ethiopians, best marathon runners in the world, those are true rags to riches stories of guys. Forget about Andrew Carnegie. These guys are living in poverty and they become world-class marathon runners and win the Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon, Chicago Marathon, or the Olympics, and they're able to really turn their situation around. But at the same time, they like to say that they became stronger out of that poverty. They actually say that you can only be a world-class marathon runner if you are running away from poverty. So sometimes you could use those struggles to your advantage. And I realize sometimes it's easier said than done. But if you read, we'll get into the influential authors and books part here. If you read Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath, actually anything by Malcolm Gladwell, Blink, Tipping Point, David and Goliath, really good kind of philosophies that I've tried to really tune in on, as well as Seth Godin's books. All of those, good marketing stuff there. but it's about overcoming adversity and just trying to progress. And you know, sometimes it is a crapshoot. Sometimes you do get lucky, but I think if you apply some principles consistently, even if you're having a tough time in your life or you're struggling with something, just keep persevering, and things will eventually get better. That being said, you know, there's not a single minute in my day that I take things for granted in my life. Well, maybe there's some minutes, but every day when I wake up, I'm like, you know, I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I like and to be able to just run. Every time I'm out running, you know, it's something I don't take for granted at all. Just to have the time and the health and the mobility to do that is something that is really lucky. And I know it can be taken away at any minute. And so you do have to appreciate some things in life that you have, but also always be looking for improvement, new learning experiences, new ways of thinking, new perspectives from other people that you could learn from, and just kind of coexisting with other fellow human beings who are on this earth at the same time as all of us. You know, we're all sharing this world together. We should all be on the same team. It gets competitive. It gets competitive in athletics and in business, and people disagree and argue. But at the same time, you got to look back and say, hey, if I can make a difference in the world, if I could help out those people that maybe are less fortunate, or you know, those people there's people starving to death every minute, there's children dying of preventable causes every 23 seconds or something like that, is some UNICEF statistic, and it made me want to donate, or I did donate to UNICEF because of that ad. But you know, that breaks my heart. The people in the world can't get potable, clean water. People are running out of food. You know, there's violence all over. But you know, as Mother Teresa would say, if you just focus on the big cause, sometimes it's overwhelming. So it's better to focus on the individual, and do what you can to help others. And you know, that could be in a very general way, I think. Obviously it's good to donate to UNICEF, but just throwing out one of the charities that we're passionate about. But it's a matter of kind of just coexisting and trying to feed off of helping others, and at the same time it helps you as well. So it's a kind of a win-win situation if we all just kind of get along together. And really, that's kind of the closing notes. Be the change you wish to see in the world, hopefully through your career and through your strengths, and how to apply that to your path in life, whatever that may be. I realize I'm kind of ranting here, but we'll close with a favorite quote from one of my favorite actors, Edward Norton, in the movie Death to Smoochie. And he would say, we might not be able to change the world, but we could try to make a dent in it. And I think I said that right. So, you know, big change is really hard sometimes, but you do what you can with the time you have. And you hope to work in an industry, or to create creative media, or whatever art you bring to the table, whatever value, and have it be influential and ultimately beneficial to others. Because that's going to provide real meaning, I think, in life. And that's kind of what we're looking for. So sorry to get existential there at the end, kind of. I've been totally ranting on this training talk, so I apologize if I'm way off the wall here, but that's kind of my advice on just kind of marketing yourself, self-branding, and digital marketing strategy. I could talk more on this if people like it. If not, there'll be a lot of thumbs down and not very many views. So thanks again for the support on here. I really appreciate it. Don't worry, I'm going to be talking about running next, how to train for a sub 440 mile specifically. I saw you guys voted for that comment a lot, as well as more training talks, more vlogs and adventure videos, and anything else I could think of. So thanks again so much for all the support, and hope you're doing well. And stay tuned for more via 2Max Productions.